I'm living in a place of surrender. And it's a process because we want to control everything because everything has to be right for the kids and the bills have to be paid and this has to be done. But now I feel like I'm doing soul work. And that place of surrender is a freeing place. And then what is supposed to be because you are open for what's to come and letting go of that. God's peace has been so real and so strong. And I'm looking at all the things that I've carried that I didn't have to carry.
Hi, I'm Amory Kibler, and this is The Space Between. I'm a cancer survivor and a mom. And while those roles don't define me, they have shaped who I am. I created this space to share honest stories, expert insights, and meaningful support for families navigating life with cancer. If you're balancing treatment, caregiving, parenting, or just trying to hold it all together, you are not alone. This is your space to connect, to heal, and to feel seen, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today on The Space Between, I'm speaking with Mercedes Wilson. She's a TV personality, entrepreneur, speaker, and the author of 3 powerful books. She's also the founder of For Our Daughters, a nonprofit empowering young women through health education. First diagnosed with breast cancer in 2011, Mercedes is now living with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer after it returned this year. We talk about parenting through a diagnosis, being truly supported, and what it means to live with both strength and hope. Mercedes, thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to be having this conversation with you and welcome you to The Space Between.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited for this.
Perfect. Let's kick off with you sharing your story with us. Can you take us through from your first diagnosis in 2011 at 28 to where you are today?
Yeah. So my first diagnosis, both of them have been a doozy, but the first one was, I guess, a huge shock. There was a lump in my breast that was just there. I didn't think anything of it. And I would go to my doctor every year because my husband and I did not want any more children. So I was on birth control. They would kind of feel the lump and say, "How old are you?" And I'd say 26. Okay, not a big deal. And I would go on. The next year I went back for my yearly. "How old are you?" 27. Not a big deal. Keep going. The next doctor that I went to, she felt the lump and she said, "Wait a minute, what is this?" She was the one that saved my life because she said, "If you want me to take you on as your doctor, I will not take you on unless you get this checked. I don't feel right about it." So I went to our local cancer institute here, Roswell. They did some tests. They did a biopsy and quickly came back breast cancer, stage 2, in my left breast, and it had started to spread to my lymph nodes. So that process was, I did chemotherapy, radiation, a couple different surgeries, and I was good to go. I thought. That's until I got a cough about a winter ago, and the cough just wouldn't go anywhere. It just would not go anywhere. And so after like 7, 8 months, my family's like, "Mom, why aren't you getting that checked? Like, what's going on?" So I went to my primary and she said, "Hey, honey, let's get some scans." She gave me medicine for the cough and it stopped the cough for the most part, but there was still a little bit left. So she sent me for scans. The first scan, she said, "I see something, not quite comfortable. I'm going to send you back for more in-depth scans." Those, again, just like, it was kind of like deja vu. Second scan, she said, "Okay, I have to send you to Roswell. I have to." On my birthday last year, I went for a series of tests, October 23rd, 2024. And sure enough, breast cancer that had spread now on the right side in my lung, breast, bones, and liver. So we are now going through that process. I am on hormonal therapy. So full-blown menopause, my friends. And the goal is to stable, get it stable to which that's where it is now, and just do what I need to do to live. Yeah.
I have a question about your original diagnosis, though. So it sounds like you actually had a lump for a couple of years before you were first diagnosed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was about, when they caught it, it was between 2 and 3 centimeters by that time. And again, had started to spread to a few lymph nodes. So yeah, it had been there for a couple of years at least.
Wow. And now you're the mom of 4 kids, right?
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about the communication that you've had with your children? And I know that your daughter was around for your first diagnosis. What
Yes.
was it like having to share the news with her then and, talking to your kids now?
My son was a little older. So we have a 22-year-old son, a 19-year-old daughter, and then 10-year-old twins that came after the first diagnosis. So my son and daughter, they were very gracious. They were very kind. They were younger. They were like 6 and 8. And Isaiah was, I guess, a little bit more aware than Gabby. But I remember having to shave my head and I wore wigs because I didn't want to startle them. And one night I was in his closet looking for something and he was awake in the middle of the night and he popped his head up and he goes, Mom, you cut all your hair off? And that was the moment I just kind of like, I had my back to him and it was like, oh no. And he goes, it looks good. I sat with them. They knew what was going on, but I didn't give them the depth of it. At that time, they were spending a week with me, a week with their father. On the weeks that I did not have them were the weeks that I went for chemo. So I had a week to kind of try to get back on my feet so then I can actually spend time with them the weeks that I had them.
How did those conversations change as your kids got older? As you said, now they're older. What is communication like with your older children?
We're open. We're very open with it. We talk about it. Once a month, I go to get my Lupron shots. We talk about those. Then, Mom, how are you feeling? My daughter goes with sometimes. We are very open in the communication. My son went to get with my husband and I when I went to get the results. So he heard everything the doctor said. He got to ask questions because we all know that the goal is to live and we're all in this together. And I know it's hard on them. So a part of me, I do kind of hold in, maybe some bad days because I don't want them to worry, but we have very open communication about it. My daughter actually wrote an article in a magazine that was out last month, and she talked about it from a daughter's perspective and how she learned so much the first time around because after the first bout of cancer, I started a nonprofit organization and I went to schools all around our area and talked about my battle with breast cancer. So she learned pretty much everything about it through going to the schools with me and talking about, hey, this is my mom's story. So I didn't hide it, but I would say it took a couple of years. I wanted them to get a little bit older, but we're very open. We're very open about it.
That article that your daughter wrote was so beautiful. I found it to be so touching. And she also talked about how it was important to her to be a support system for you and also for her siblings.
Yeah. The twins, they're 10-year-old twin girls. We told them. They don't quite grasp it because immediately after they're like, hey, so can we go for ice cream? Because they didn't quite grasp it. We talk about it. I would say, honestly, we don't talk about it fully in front of them. But they know what's going on. Their school knows, their teachers know, we told them just so that in case they came in feeling down or something like that, the teachers knew exactly what was going on. So if they have questions, I answer it. I answer them, but the older two know everything.
Are you comfortable maybe sharing a little bit more about conversations with 10-year-olds? Because I feel like that can be a tricky space. I have a 9-year-old and I feel like sometimes I think she really understands a lot of things that are going on. And then sometimes I think that she really doesn't. And for me, I made some choices to not share things with her because I thought she wouldn't understand. And then later I regretted it. So I find that's like an age that's really hard to decide how much is appropriate to share.
Yeah, and I think having the older two really helped because we all sat down as a family. After the older two knew, we sat down with the girls, and it was, do you know what cancer is? And they said, yes, it's a disease. And we kind of talked through that a little bit. We didn't go like in depth, but we talked through it and we talked about how I had it. So there might be some days where I don't feel well. There might be some days where maybe daddy does a little more, but the goal is for us to be happy as a family. And the older two kind of stepped in and said, and any questions you guys have, feel free to ask us. And they were, again, I think because they felt safe in it, they were okay because we were all there together and everybody was like, hey, we're going to do this together. So they felt the safety. And I mean, they were safe enough to ask for ice cream right after. I think with each family, it's different depending on your dynamics. But we all sat down as a family and everybody said, hey, we're in this together. But there are going to be some days mommy does not feel well. And in those days, if you want to talk, that is fine. But there are going to be those days. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say that is important is to create a safe and warm space to have the conversation.
Yeah. And they know that if they have any questions, they can ask any of us. So just kind of give them that room. So if they do understand more than what we think, then they feel, free to ask what they need to ask.
So you also wrote a beautiful article to accompany the article that your daughter wrote for, is it Buffalo Healthy Lifestyle Magazine?
Buffalo Healthy Living, yes.
Buffalo Healthy Living.
Very close.
Yes. And you spoke about having a living plan, and I just love the sound of this.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what that is exactly?
Absolutely. So, a trusted mentor of mine in the community, I started treatments November 7th, 2024. I started therapy November 4th, 2024, because she recognized the battle that was in front of me. And she said, I would love to set you up with a therapist. And oh my gosh, she is fabulous. But we called it the living plan because the goal is to live and not only live physically and fight this disease, but to live spiritually, to be well mentally. Because as much as it's a physical battle, it's mental. And so at first I was seeing the therapist 3 times a week because he was like, it's the mental, it's the stress, it's the, we don't want to add anything that is unnecessary. So there was a whole lot of tears. We dealt with traumas. I'm dealing with different traumas from my childhood that kept me in fight or flight since I was 12 years old, keep my body in constant stress because we know stress, cancer loves stress. My doctor gave me a book. She recommended a book that talks about, how healthy eating for people that have cancer because she dealt with her mother having late stage cancer and she's still here close to 10 years later. So she said, this is what we live by. So I changed my diet. I found local chefs. I found people that juice in the area. So I'm not drinking the juices that have all the preservatives. I have natural juices. So it's the diet, it's the spiritual, my church family stepped up and people brought meals and people stopped by and it was the cards, it was the love, it was accepting a lot of things that we women struggle with doing, which is accepting help because we don't want to be a burden. I kind of let those guards down. And when I did, the love is what's carrying me. And it carried me through so many nights. It literally is the love, the cards, the nice notes in the cards. My family, the kids loved the pizza nights, when people brought pizza by. But it was the thoughtfulness of people. And I cannot tell you the text messages of prayer. I'm praying for you. I'm thinking of you. That was a part of the living plan. It's all a part of the living plan, your circle, your mental, because we know the mental piece, sometimes you're fine and then you think, holy crap, I'm battling this. And it immediately, and I've been there the last couple of weeks and I text a girlfriend of mine in another state that has been battling for 8 years and she's thriving. And I said, I am just struggling. And she sent me a nice 2-paragraph text and it changed everything. That's a part of the living plan, being surrounded by the right people. So it's all of it. And then having great doctors. My doctors are on it. I'm doing what I'm asked to do. And I also let them know when I need some help with some things as well. So just being vocal, that's a part of the living plan.
And I'm so glad that you shared some of the things that people have done that have been the most supportive of you. That's, a big question that I get because we know that friends and loved ones really want to support and they want to do whatever it is that feels like it's going to be the best for the thriver, but
Yeah.
sometimes they just don't know what to do or what to say. And hearing you say that cards and little notes and supportive passages and those things have been really powerful for you,
Yeah.
I think is super helpful. Is there anything else that you can think of that someone has done for you that could be good advice for anyone that's trying to figure out how to show up for someone they care about?
I would say people show up, I guess, how I'm comfortable with them showing up. So how I am allowing people in, that was a choice that I made. For someone else, that may not be their choice. For someone else, maybe they want to be, I don't know, taken out for ice cream. Maybe I remember my aunt who sadly passed from lung cancer. Some survivor sisters and I got together and put a nice package together because she was going through chemo. So she had what are they called? The scalp. It kind of helps make your scalp feel comfortable after you've had chemo because you lose your hair and it hurts. So there was cooling, kind of like cooling hats. They got those. They got certain lotions that we used because she was a very private person. So I took the basket to her, but they each put a little note. So she didn't want visitors, but that basket blessed her whole life. So everybody has different comfort levels. Be willing to learn what that comfort level is and then just do what you can within those parameters. And maybe they'll let their guard down a little bit. It's a two-way street, even though we're the ones going through it. The people around us are going through it as well. And I had to make a choice to let that guard down. I had to make a choice. And for some, they don't want to, and that's okay too. So just figure out where their comfort level is and then do the things that you know they love.
It's so true. And some of the things that can be the most supportive are just little things that feel like normal. Like, as you said, could be going out for ice cream, could be inviting them to a book club, or just sharing some little bit of inspiration that you have that makes them feel loved and supported. And sometimes just like it's a little bit of joy and a little bit of fun can change your whole mindset.
Yep, I agree 100%.
I teamed up with Stacey Eagle and Elise Ryan to create Sea Waves of Support, healing selenite bracelet sets. You keep one and gift the other to someone facing cancer or life's challenges, a powerful reminder they're not alone. Learn more at seawavesofsupport.com. You've said that you have a deep faith, and I was really inspired by a beautiful post on Instagram, and I'm going to read a little bit of it. You said, "I've learned the miracle of prayer, the power of the right relationships, and what it means to be cared for by doctors who lead with both skill and compassion." And you talked about not surviving, but becoming. Can you talk a little bit about how your spiritual life has shaped your mindset?
So in this journey, I've learned God in a new way. I've learned God in a new way. And I've grown up in church. And it's not until you go through something deep that you really get the intimacy part, and you really get to learn how much God loves us. And my therapist said something that hit me in the beginning, one of the beginning sessions. He said, "Honey, it's not time for you. This is a wake-up call." And it's all about the view that you have. And it kind of shifted my view. So then my view went from, "Oh my gosh, how long do I have to live?" to, "Okay, God, what is it that you have for me?" And there's something about surrender that gives you freedom. And going through my life and going through the traumas and going through all of it, I can see where God is saying, "I need you to let this go. That's none of your business. No, that's not you. That's not for you to carry. I need you to focus on this." And so there's a freedom that came with surrendering and saying, "God, whatever it is that you have for me, I want." And then there's things where if it's too heavy, then I'm like, "Okay, well, this isn't it. This isn't it," because it's not conducive with the living plan. It's just not. So it's kind of like a change of vision. It's like a wake up call. And it's, even this morning, I do more meditation as well. And I just sit still, where before I'm running. And I'm sitting still now every morning and every night and saying, "God, what is it that you have?" And that is where I learned to surrender. That is where I learned to let go and say, "I don't know everything. This earth was here before me. It'll be here after me." So it's smart of me to say, "God, you created it all. So what is it that you want from me?" Because he knows better. I'm living in a place of surrender. I can honestly tell you that. And it's a process because we want to control everything, because everything has to be right for the kids and the bills have to be paid and this has to be done. But now I feel like I'm doing soul work. And that place of surrender is a freeing place. And then what is supposed to be, because you are open for what's to come. And that's a really hard, it was a really hard place to get to, because I was running businesses. I had a business that I let go of. But in letting go of that, God's peace has been so real and so strong. And I'm looking at all the things that I've carried that I didn't have to carry.
And when you were talking about surrender, all the hairs on my arms were standing up, because that's really one of my big words. That I feel like I had a moment where I was really unhappy and just kind of trying to hold it all together in treatment and in, what I was going through. And then I just decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to surrender that to the God and to the universe. And I'm on his path. He has a plan for me. And I'm going to go with it. I'm going to look for signs, and I'm going to look for direction. And I'm going to live my life in the day that I have today and see what good I can do, what impacts I can have, and how I can have connection to the people that I love in my life and all those things. And it was such a huge shift. And I always think back to that word surrender and connect to it so much. And I think that sometimes when people hear that, they think of it has a negative connotation to it, but it was really like a moment of when I felt so much relief from the stress and the burden that I was carrying. So I just, hearing you say that, it had a lot of impact for me.
Yeah, it's true. And it's a daily thing too, because we're so used to get up and go. It's a daily choice.
And you talked about meditation. Are there any other practices that you return to regularly or other things that you do to feel connected to your family? Could be music, family rituals, anything special that your family does.
To be honest, right before I was diagnosed, we planned a family trip and we had to kind of put it on hold. So we're planning more family things, things that we can build toward, look forward to. In the next month, we're going away together. So it's intentionally putting things together. Because before I had two devices, I had my laptop, I was always just busy setting things down and looking at each other, doing Sunday dinners. It's intentionality, it's showing love, it's doing it on purpose. And it's taking the time to, when someone is speaking, just kind of stop and be in the moment. That's a part of the surrender process, but be in the moment because I realized how much I was missing running. So yeah, it's being intentional. Besides Sunday dinners, we don't really have any rituals. Besides when Christmas comes around, because I go nuts and we do all types of Christmas tree decorating and they're stuck with me. But outside of that, no, it's just being present. The goal is to be present.
Well, Sunday dinner that's a great ritual, having time to connect over
Yeah,
a meal with your family. That's something that's really powerful.
I agree. I agree. I always say food is the great equalizer. There's something about a good meal made with love.
There's also something about cooking together. Like as a community builder, I've done many events where I bring small groups of women together and we would prepare a meal together and then eat together.
Yeah.
And the conversations and the sense of connection and sharing when you sit down together and open your hearts and just really connect, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can agree with that. In March for my husband and Gabby's, the older daughter's birthday, we did a cooking class together with a local chef. And out of all the gifts that we've ever done for each other, they said, this is the best. So we cooked together, we learned a lot together, and then we ate together. And it was, so I agree with you 100%.
I want to talk about your nonprofit for our daughters. You've empowered thousands of young women to advocate for their own health. At what age should we start talking to our daughters about their own health care and about breast cancer? And how can we start those conversations?
So for our daughters, our target age group was 12 to 19. I think we should start talking sooner. Gab and I were having these conversations when she was 5, 6 years old. It was always, hey, what's going on? And creating an atmosphere where she can be comfortable talking about anything. So nothing was too small because as we know, our kids go through multiple stages and I don't think they ever stop needing us. So the one thing that I learned while doing For Our Daughters, or that we learned because it was a group effort, is that 100% of girls care about what their parents think of them or their loved ones think of them. No matter how they tell us to get out of their room or that they don't like us or get away, they care. It's our job to empower them and create a safe place for them to talk to us. So our target group was 12 to 19, but I started with my daughter from as long as I can remember.
At what age do they suggest that girls start doing self breast exams?
Oh gosh, I taught my daughter young. You know what I mean? Like not to freak her out or anything, but to be comfortable with her body and know when something is off. I know typically when they start going to their OBGYNs, they start to have those conversations. And Gab started seeing an OB when she was about 18. So last year she, started having her visits. I reached out to my OB and said, hey, she's 16. And she goes, nope, normally it starts at 18. I'm sure my daughter does it now and she's 19, but that's because, she's comfortable with her body. So I say the younger the better, but not in a way to freak them out. It's just knowing your body.
Okay. And last question. If you could send a message in a bottle to another mom who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, what would you say?
The first word that comes to mind is breathe. And I say breathe because it's a crazy journey. But when I breathe, I think of relaxing and letting down our guards and allowing those around us to be the love and the light and add to that because we give so much as women, as mothers. And breathing will allow us to kind of exhale and allow others to do what we do for them every day. The love the care, the support, the cards, whatever it is around us will help carry you through, because this is a tough journey. So I would say breathe, but in the breathing, truly let go and relax and allow those around you to love on you.
Mercedes, thank you so much for being on. This is a beautiful conversation, and I really appreciate all of your insights and advice and just you opening your heart and sharing your day with us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me on this episode of The Space Between. If this show brought you comfort or a sense of community, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with anyone who might need it too. You can join the conversation on Instagram at thespacebetween_cancer.family and head to amoryKibler.com for more resources designed to support parents navigating cancer. Just remember, you're never alone. This podcast is here as a companion on your journey towards healing, growth, and connection.